Hi everyone, and welcome to another review from Class 47 Peter. And in today's review, we're going to be having a look at a model made by Bachmann, which makes a change from all the models that I've reviewed made by Hornby for a change, quite recently. And in today's review, we're going to be having a look at a Class 37, as you can see, and this model is in the coal sector livery. Now, I bought this model from the Old Oak Common Open Day back in September from a trade stand. Now, interestingly, I was actually originally going to go for a Class 37 in the Intercity livery, but then I saw this and thought, no, I've got to get this, because I have been after a 37 in coal sector livery for ages now, and I just simply could not get hold of one. And then I went to a trade stand, saw this there, second hand of course, and I just simply had to go for it. You know, this was the perfect opportunity to do so, and I couldn't pass it up, and I think if I hadn't, I would have been a fool not to. And also, I remembered that the Class 37 that's due out next year in coal sector livery has the split head code boxes, which, like I said, is coming out next year, and I shall be getting that model. And I thought of that model, and then I thought, I can get this model to go with that model, because then I can double head them if I want to. And that's something I shall be doing. I haven't got any wagons for this to pour yet, the MGR wagons with the coal sector logos on. I very nearly did, but then that kind of went to nothing in the end, basically, so to speak. But I shall be getting some, definitely, quite soon, but for the time being it will have to pull other things, which isn't going to look totally wrong, because I have seen pictures of coal sector livery locomotives pulling other trains besides coal trains. So it is prototypical to have a coal sector livery loco pull something else that's not a coal train, basically. But then again, even if it wasn't prototypical, it wouldn't look bad either. Okay, so let's get on to the review and not waste any more time. I mean, I have already opened this model up actually and ran it before, but it's been in its box for quite some time, waiting to be reviewed. So this is the empty box. It's the old style Bachmann packaging. Oh, so we've got the Collector Club flyer there. Don't need that. Then we have the huge piece of card with a picture of a 37 on the front, although it's a photograph of one in EW S livery, or in this case EW and S. And it's the one that has the split head code boxes, where this 37 doesn't have that. But there we go. Then on the back we have a drawing of a Class 37 and some brief history of the locomotive, which you can pause and read that if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. And then we come on to the little detail bag. So in this bag of details we get, so first of all we have a couple of what's called frost grills, which are to prevent frost from getting inside the grills, basically. We have a couple of jumper cables. We also get a couple of what's supposed to be screw link couplings, but they're dummy ones, and they're not actually a sort of chain link either, they're moulded, so they just basically slot into place on the buffer beam. And we have a couple of vacuum pipes as well. Now, I'm not going to add any of the details supplied in the detail pack, because I'm going to want to double head this with the coal sector livery 37 with the split head codes when it gets released next year. And by adding the detail parts, because I'm going to keep the couplings in on both ends, the detail parts, they will clash with the couplings and they might prevent it from going around corners, possibly derailing the bogies, and they'll just simply fall off and all those other things, basically. I mean, I could perhaps fit the jumper cables, but then again the couplings might clash with those as well and perhaps derail the model on corners. But regardless, either way, let's get the model out of the foam tray. And put the polystyrene tray to one side. And so now we are free to have a look at the model in detail. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the weight. This model is really heavy, and that's a good sign because it means there's lots of weight in the model, and it also means it can pull trains. Because this model needs the weight in it to be able to pull anything, because without the weight it can't pull trains. Now we come on to the detail. Now normally at this point I'd talk about the model having sprung buffers, but in this case the model doesn't have them, although usually on the 37s the buffers are sprung. But I think what's happened here is that the buffers may have perhaps fallen out of the model and then they've been glued back into place, which prevents them from being sprung loaded. But that doesn't really matter, to be honest, because I don't really have care for sprung buffers, because you're only going to mess about with them when you're holding the model, and I only do that for the sake of review purposes, to be honest. And they are made of metal though, so that's good. So I don't care the buffers in this model are not sprung, but they are made of metal, which is nice. On the front of the model you can see all the holes in the buffer beam for all the detail to go into, and also of course we have the NEM coupling. So you can take it out if you want to, but I'm not going to do that, because obviously this loco is going to be double heading with another one. On either side of the nose ends of the 37 we have some finely applied separated metal handrails, and I really do like those, they do look nice. Also we have a couple of warning signs on the front there, and the locomotive's running number 239 printed on the front. There's also a couple of separately fitted lamp irons on the model as well, and also there is some rivet detail on there as well, as you can see, just under the high intensity light there. And speaking of lights, this model does have working lights, both head and tail lights, and also interior lighting. I know on the front lights there it does look like they've just been painted there, but trust me, they do light up, as you shall soon see in this video. So it really is nice that this model has working lights. And we also have the antenna at the front of the nose there, fitted on top, and it's separately fitted as well. And also we have these two latches, which in reality they open up to part of the inside of the loco here. They don't open of course on the model, but then again we shouldn't really expect them to, because if they did they'd probably make the model more expensive. But they're there, so it's a nice detail to have otherwise. We've also got glazing in the cab windows, and some separately fitted window wipers as well. Now moving on to the cab interior, now none of the detail in there is painted, but the seats are. But the controls and all the dials and all that are not painted. But it doesn't really matter of sorts, I mean you can still see that detail there, moulded, but just not painted otherwise. We have a couple of nice grills on the side of the loco here, and I do like the texture of those. And also there's the locomotive's running number 37239 crisply printed on the side there, and we've also got the TOPS dialogue there, I think that's what it's called, crisply printed on the side there. And we've also got the very nice crisply printed BR Double Arrows logo in silver, which really does look nice. We have some separately fitted handrails on the side of the door there, and we've also got a nice door handle which is not separately fitted but it is painted, and that does look nice. The bogies also have some nice detail as well, such as the springs and the axle boxes and the footstep just there. Bear in mind none of the detail is painted on the bogies, but then again in reality most of the detail is not painted on them anyway, but if you like the bits to be painted then you could always paint them yourself. Then we have the fuel tanks, or water tanks, whatever you want to call them, and we also have a very nice dial there. which is painted. It even has some printed detail on that as well, and that does look quite nice. In the windows here on the sides of the body, we have glazing fitted in them, which does look really nice. We have some more grills on the sides there, and of course we can't forget the big large grills on both sides of the logo. We have a warning sign printed on the side as well, and we have the nameplates, the Coal Merchants Association of Scotland, which sometimes with the 37s you do get etched nameplates, but in this model you don't. And you do get etched nameplates with some of the other models as well, made by Bachmann as well. But on this occasion you don't get them. But that's not really much of a problem, because you could always shop around for some from another website if you wanted to. There's also some very nice rivet detail there on the bottom of the 37, on the body there, which looks nice. And you've also got the door here that in reality would open up to the engine to get inside it. The livery application is spot on. Very nice even coat of paint and the correct shade of grey as well, which does look very nice. A very nice classic colour as well, because this is a colour that would have been seen from my youth. I did see quite a lot of logos in this livery in the 90s. And it is actually the second coal sector model that I have. And we also have the coal sector logo crisply printed on the sides there. I really do love that logo, that looks really nice. And you've also got that logo printed running down alongside the door here, and that's on both sides, and that looks really quite nice. Moving on to the roof detail now, which we have a couple of horns on either end of the logo, separately fitted as well, and they look nice. We have a separately fitted mesh grille there, and underneath that is the fan that doesn't spin, but then again, that's not really Bachmann's thing, and to be honest, Hornby have stopped doing that now as well. But it doesn't really matter though, because to be honest, most of the time, especially in my videos, you're never going to really notice the fan spinning anyway. So it doesn't really matter too much as long as there's a fan under there, but there is some nice rivet detail around it though, that looks nice. We've got some more rivet detail on the roof there, such as these exhausts where all the diesel fumes come out of, so you could get that weathered if you wanted to. And you've also got these latches as well, with some nice rivet detail on the hinges there. I suppose you could call them doors if you wanted to. And these in reality would open up to the engine, to lift the engine out if work needs to be carried on it or whatever. Of course they don't open on the model, but then again they don't really need to. But they're there and they're quite nice to have. Now on the other side of the model, the detail is basically the same as is on this end of the loco, but there is only one small detail difference. And that detail difference is on this end of the model, there is a driver in the cab. Now he is in the end where the fan is, and normally I tend to have these locomotives running with the wagons coupled where the fans are. But it doesn't really matter though anyway which end is in, because at the end of the day this is a locomotive that has two cabs and is designed to go in both directions. But it doesn't really matter though if you choose to have the other end of the locomotive at the front, where you've still got the driver in this end, because it doesn't really matter too much. But what you could do if you wanted to is to take the body off and remove him from the cab and into the other end of the cab. I have done it with a couple of models, but I don't tend to do it with all of them, to be honest with you. But it doesn't really matter otherwise. But it is nice that there is a driver in the cab, so that's pretty nice to have. So now we come on to the running performance of the model. And as you can see, she will need a bit of running in, because she hasn't really been running a while. She might need some lubrication as well, actually. Okay, so update on the model. It is now running a lot smoother than what you saw it in the previous clip. Now, I did lubricate it, but that didn't really help. And so I thought, well, I better take the body off and see what's going on. And when I opened the model up, it was then I noticed that this model had actually been DCC fitted. When this model first came out brand new, it wasn't DCC fitted, but because this model is second hand, The previous owner has obviously fitted it with a DCC decoder. Now it is a good job that I had some DCC blanking plates, or just blanking plates rather, because it probably could have taken a few days to have got this model up and running. So obviously I removed the decoder and put in the blanking plate, and it's now running smoothly. Not the first time I've bought a model that I've had to remove a DCC decoder, but it is the first, well, it is one of the few times I've bought a second-hand model that has been DCC fitted that I've had to remove a decoder. Because I have bought a couple of brand new models that have been DCC fitted and removed decoders from them. But I have also done the same with a couple of second-hand models, and they've both been diesels. Because one of the Bachmann 20s I have, that had a DCC decoder in, and so I had to remove that. Which is now running smoothly now. And so I'll get some close-ups of the model. Okay, before I show this model running around on a loaded test run, there are a few things I do actually want to point out. First of all, this model did have interior lighting, but now that seems to have stopped working, annoyingly. Don't know what's happened there, but I'm not going to bother trying to fix the problem. But another thing I do want to point out is that whilst I had the body off, I thought I might as well add the driver into the other end of the cab, who you can just about see there. And so I thought I might as well do it, being as I've got the body off. And it was quite easy to do. I just had to simply swap out the interiors for the one end, then fix it in on the other end, because it is actually clicked into place. But I just thought I'd point that out in this video. Moving on to the loaded test run for the model now, which we have these Shell oil tankers behind the model. These are the railroad versions, and there are 13 of them here, so it's quite a way. Now I know these wagons are not particularly heavy, but then again you don't expect them to be either. You don't expect a small amount of weight. But this does show why the weight is important. And one of the wagons just derailed there, and then it's re-railed itself back on the point. So overall then, the Bachmann Class 37 is a good model. And if you like your diesels, then I'd definitely recommend you getting one. Definitely worth adding one to your collection. So overall then, I'm going to rate the Bachmann Class 37 in coal sector livery an 8 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter reviewing the Bachmann Class 37, and I'll see you again soon for the next review. I've no idea what I'm going to be reviewing for the next review, but until then, take care. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy watching all my other videos, which I would recommend you check them out. But until I see you for the next review, over and out.